Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GTR Player Podcast, where we're continuing on with Faction Framework. We're here after the week of the balanced data slate. We paused last week to let that go and just run its course and people to get their head across all the amazing changes that occurred. But today we have a special guest. And before I get into that, I just wanted to shout out a massive thank you to our listener, Echo, who also happens to be my daughter. She's been listening to the show from day dot, has been begging for a shout out, and is my little helper and always helps me out when I lose bits and pieces for my model. So a massive shout out to Echo. Thank you for listening. Today, we've got none other than Matt with us, and we're going to go through Goremongers. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be on. I appreciate the invite.
Of course, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. You did cap off 2025 with number one for Goremongers. And I thought, who better to have on the show than someone who came number one and is obviously passionate about the gore, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a bit of a squeaker. There's a lot of really good Goremongers players out there. Shout out to Elliot and Loomis, two other very good Goremonger players around the world.
Nice. Massive shout out to the boys. And a quick just intro with regards to yourself, mate. Tell us about you. Tell us about your scene, and then tell us about your first game of Kill Team.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I am an unabashed chaos lover. Big fan of all the chaos factions. So Goremongers, when they came out, felt like a natural fit. Anything that lets you get into melee quickly and start bashing heads was right up my alley. I actually started playing Kill Team in sort of the DC, Maryland area. And after getting my head kicked in enough times over there, I started actually learning how to play. I ended up moving from DC to New York for work, and continued to get my head bashed in over in New York as well. And these days, I'm still getting my head bashed in, but I get to do a little counter bashing every now and again, which is nice.
Counter bashing is definitely fun, mate. It's definitely fun. And tell us about your very first game of Kill Team, because I think that encourages a lot of people who are thinking about, diving into the game, might be a little bit apprehensive and thinking, oh, it's a bit too technical. Just might give them a little bit of love and a little bit of insight to roll some dice and have some fun.
Oh, I have so much room in my heart for somebody's first game of Kill Team. My first one, I had recently finished painting my Compendium Plague Marines. Kind of dating myself here, but I went into a Kill Team play night and had my Plague Marines, and I was so certain I just wanted to watch. Like I was not going to be able to handle the game. I just needed to watch. And somebody basically grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and said, no. If you're here, you're playing Kill Team. And we had a delightful game. His Corsairs, to my memory, annihilated my Plague Marines. But I learned so much. It was a really great time. Truly just like a foundational experience. And it's not about like winning or losing those first games. It's just about sort of getting a feel for it and having fun, laughing about how I would like take 0 damage, or I would just get one shot by a pistol barrage. So anybody in their first game, just see if you can find one thing that's really funny to do in your first game. And that's normally like the way to make sure it's a good one.
Yeah, the ace up your sleeve and just take it to as many games post that as possible and try and execute it, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you have like one good takeaway, even if it's just, if I do this thing, it's stupid and makes my opponent laugh, then you're already getting a lot out of the game.
Literally. And pivoting away from compendium teams, right? and where we are today, mate, are you still running Goremongers? Tell us all about your experience with them.
Yeah. I'm still running Goremongers. I love these guys. They're my boys. They're actually my literal boys because I have orc proxies that I use for them.
That's gorgeous.
But but they're great. I flip between Goremongers and Plague Marines, my two kind of chaos guys. But
Go-tos.
yeah, they're fantastic.
Are
Still very good. And with the recent balanced data slate, all of their nightmarishly hard matchups are now just difficult matchups. So it's a good day to be huffing that blood.
100%, mate. Now, are they chaos if they're orc boys?
Listen, are they slaves to the four powers? No. No. Are they chaotic in the dictionary definition? I think so. I think
100%.
orcs can learn a lot from corn cultists, and corn cultists can learn a lot from orcs.
This is true, mate. I think there might need to be a Mad Max Warhammer 40k crossover movie if that's the case, because from what I understand, the Goremongers were literally modeled off, the boys from Mad Max.
That tracks. I
Yeah.
hadn't heard that, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's just clicking things into place. Well,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing for my next narrative thing. I'm going to see if I can find somebody with something dusty, and we're just going to throw vehicles at each other, maybe.
Yeah, I heard that was the case. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that there was a bit of inspiration from there. But mate, getting stuck into the team, right? The Goremongers kill team comprised of 8 operatives, right?
It does, yes.
So we've got the Blood Herald, and then we've got a Blood Taker, an Impaler, an Insider, a Skull Claimer, and a Stalker, which those guys you can only take once. And then your Aspirants, which you can have as many of as possible, right? And the Aspirants are quite good.
The Aspirants are amazing. We will get deeper into it, but each of the specialists have a place. But sometimes it's better to replace one of the specialists with just a regular aspirant. In fact, sometimes if you're getting really spicy, you could have your leader, one other specialist, and then 6 aspirants.
Wow.
So it sometimes the aspirants just do so much work that you want to max out on them, or almost max out on them.
Definitely. And so, look, the Blood Herald, you always take, right? The leader?
Yep, you do. Partially because you literally have to, but also if you didn't literally have to, you'd always take him. He's so damn good. Everybody on the team has 7-inch move, 5-up save, and 10 wounds. Blood Herald gets an extra wound because he's the leader. Gets a once a game Justice Scratch, meaning takes 0 damage on a normal. And the big thing, well, the 2 big things, is that he has an incredible shooting attack, really, really good shooting attack, and the ability to refill his own gore tank if he empties it out, which enables him to do so many things with effectively 0 setup, that he's truly one of the centerpieces of the team.
Hey, he's a threat stager on his own, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, back in the glory days of 2025, this guy alone could probably wax a Marine, maybe 2 Marines across 2 turning points. I mean, he's just absolute monster.
Yeah, that's when the team was genuinely cooked. But I think the team is still super strong right now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's fewer like cheesy strategies that you can do. Approved Ops has also kind of taken a little bit of the wind out of their sort of aggression. But beyond that, they still have a lot of really, really strong play.
That's amazing. Moving on from the Herald to the Blood Taker, tell us about this nasty piece of work.
Yeah, your Blood Taker is what some people call the comms of the team, basically the support piece. He does do that pretty decently. He can give one of his own blood to somebody else, which in the abstract, most people gravitate towards giving him a piece of equipment that will let him generate blood, and then he spends his turn either like looting a point and then sending blood, or moving up the board and sending blood. But he's sort of the backline quarterback that your team has. You can also run him as just a basically missile that you run down the field. He's got a ritual blade, which allows you to generate blood as soon as you deal damage with it. So what you can do with him is have him be like the first guy to go. He can be your witness me in Mad Max parlance. You just have him charge in, deal a little extra damage on the charge, generate blood from a fight, and then blow up doing extra damage. And you can get a lot of damage downfield without losing too much steam.
Yeah. He definitely seems like one of those guys because he hits on, he's got 4 dice hitting on 3s and going 3-5 with that whole ritual. So he's still a nasty piece of work in hand-to-hand combat.
He sure is. He's no slouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is 4 attacks hitting on 3s. The only difference between him and a generic aspirant is that he does 1 less normal damage and he doesn't have rending, which for my money is, that's not as great of a melee profile, but it's still pretty scary, especially for, guardsmen or elves or things of that nature.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on over into Mr. Stabby, the Impaler. This guy's actually not too bad at shooting either.
Yeah, the Impaler is one of the very few opportunities to actually do some shooting. I am a little low on the Impaler. I wish he was just a touch better than I've found him to be. He's very high risk, high reward. He doesn't have any built-in rerolls, so if you're rerolling, it's because of like an ammo cache or a command reroll. But if you roll really well, he can borderline just win you games. He can pull people out of position. He can pull them into melee range and then either set up charges for your guys or pull people kind of into harm's way. The problem is that with 8 operatives, if you move up and you shoot and you get average dice and your opponent gets average dice, he probably does about 4 damage and then he dies.
Yeah.
So high risk, high reward. If you want to, have your game turn based on how 4 dice roll, then this is your guy.
Very situational.
Yes. Yep. Tends to do better into high save teams. The most obvious tech choice for him is when you're into Raveners. With their 5-up saves and they really want to stand near their tunnel, you can just plant him 6 inches away and then grab that, venom spitter or whatever and just pull him all the way downfield.
Yeet him off his tunnel.
Yeah, it's our tunnel now.
Yeah, exactly. Gold. The Insider. This guy's a little bit interesting. Yes. How do you use the Insider? I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. So, in past editions, he would be kind of where all of the cheese of the team came from. You could get a lot of mileage out of just, kind of abusing rules interactions. These days, he is way more honest, or I suppose I should say she's more honest, as I think the official model is female. Regardless, she's a really solid shooting piece. The way I normally describe it is that she does extremely consistent low damage. So if you just want to pepper somebody and then, get out of dodge, then this works really well for that. She also, whenever she deals damage with a shoot or a fight, she makes targets bleed, which can kind of improve your gore tank economy a bit, which is very, very helpful. The big thing that I think that she provides is an ability called Dash and Spray. It's kind of like a Commando's DACA Boy. Their DACA Dash. Basically, they bring together a shoot and a dash at the same time. So it's very easy for an Insider to set up, on a Tomb World door or a Volcus door or what have you. Run out, shoot, and then have that shoot actually be a dash and spray, and then dash back into safety. So if your opponent is just leaving things out on the field, you can use this operative to kind of pepper them a little bit and then set up that operative for the kill later down the line.
Yeah, so good. Definitely chip damage plus, right?
Absolutely. Final thing I'll say about Insider is Insider has Ceaseless baked into its melee profile, which actually makes it extremely consistent, especially if you pair it with other abilities the team has. So if you give yourself an extra attack dice, that's 5 attacks ceaseless is really good. You might even be 5 attacks ceaseless balanced, which is also really good. So it's a very strong model for dealing with things that have relatively low wounds in one activation, or getting really consistent chip in against beefier targets.
So good. So good. Moving over to Mr. Brute, the Gormonger Skull Claimer.
Yes.
This guy
the skull
seems to be solid.
I love this guy. This guy, I mentioned that maybe you want to run a leader and then 6 aspirants. That's only 7 operatives. That's because you are always going to run the Skull Claimer, in my mind. 100% of the time, this dude rocks. He's got a killer melee profile, 4 dice hitting on 3s, 5/6 brutal.
Oof.
Which you can give him rerolls with ploys. You can give him extra attack dice. Just gnarly. He can take normal damage instead of critical damage. So if you're fighting anybody who has a power sword, you just kind of noogie them until they're out. The other big thing is if you get a kill with them, which you almost certainly will, you get to generate command points. So this is a great last activation, first activation operative to just like dip yourself 2 command points and get 2 double kills along the way. Really, really good operative.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's like an auto take, right?
Absolutely. I truly can't imagine a scenario where I wouldn't bring the Skull Claimer. Extremely good.
Just for the CP alone.
Yeah, exactly. If you run him in and he kills a guardsman and then he dies, I think that's probably still okay. I think you're probably still 1 CP up, 1 kill on the board. Even that like really low value trade, I think it's worth it. I think that's probably all right.
Yeah, as long as you do it like towards the end of Turning Point 2 and you go for that trade. Like, this guy sounds like he's got some good staying power, right? You'd definitely run him into an elite captain, as you said, with a power sword to just, eat a normal instead of a crit and just do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. This is sort of the bespoke guy for dueling Space Marines on their own terms. You can just charge an Assault Intercessor and knock him around a little bit. He also has Brutal on his card, which means that he is the correct tech piece into operatives with shields. So if you've got a Deathwatch Aegis or an Exaction Subductor, they need crits to be able to parry you out. So if you are charging them, they will need crits in order to stop all of your dice, which is a real difficult thing for a lot of these teams to do. So it makes what they expect to be a very defensive and sort of sustainable shield line now sort of like behaving at the whims of the dice, which is exactly where you want them to be.
That's phenomenal. What a beast. And moving over to the last of the specialists, the Stalker, is this guy situational as well?
I would say maybe the most situational. I think for probably new and experienced players alike, this one is such an easy binary. If you are playing on Volcus or other open maps, you bring the Stalker. If you are playing on Tomb World or Into the Dark, then you bench the Stalker. And the reason for that is because he's very good on vantage points. Close quarters combat, not known for having a lot of vantage points, so he doesn't get a lot of mileage. But for open maps, he can climb really, really well, and he gives himself rerolls if he is fighting or has recently jumped off of a vantage point, which you can really just suplex people from the high wire, go up to 5 attacks, be natively relentless, and then also rake them on the charge if you're fully juiced up, which that'll kill a Ravener, that'll kill a Deathwatch operative. This guy can really put in some work if you set him up right.
That's insane. And pivoting to aspirants, which are like still pretty good themselves. And again, when you've got situations where you don't need the stalker, you'll just swap him out for an aspirant. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. Aspirants have a really strong baseline melee profile, which is why they get so much attention. But they also have their own tech, which is that when you complete a fight action, if you're not in control range, then you can basically do a free charge. The most obvious of this is you charge, you fight something and you kill it, then you can charge again into his buddy who's standing nearby. But there are interesting, very niche cases where you can like go on guard and fight first and then charge into somebody. Or there are certain teams that can get out of combat. If the fight ends, then and they're outside of combat range, these guys can basically re-engage and jump back into the fray, which helps them stay locked in and ideally not shootable. Helps you a lot with matchups like Murder Wing or I think Blades of Cain is another where that works well, if I remember the wording right.
Definitely. What absolute beasts. I mean, even just talking to you about this team, it makes me want to pick them up literally, because I could just think of all these potential ways you can tie up your opponent. And even if you're not killing them, just making sure they don't score, right?
Exactly right. Yep. Because so many crit ops can't be done in control range, these guys are pretty decent at holding down crit op points, but the most effective form of crowd control is just killing them. And frankly, that gets a lot of work done. This team is one that you tend to always be in a slightly better position if you always take the presented aggressive verb. If you have a chance to charge, you should charge. If you have a chance to fight, you should fight. If you have a chance to like move, dash, shoot, you're probably better off if you do that. Like, it's, as a general heuristic, most of the time, the more aggressive you are, the better your board state will be.
It's literally the yeet team, right? You just yeet them up the board to do whatever they can.
Absolutely. I mean, there's like two main ways to play the team as far as I'm concerned. There's this like hyper cagey staging and trying to have your threat bubble outrange others' threat bubbles. And then there's the high threat saturation. Everybody's touching the midline turning point 1 so that absolutely nowhere is safe turning point 2. And they can't kill us all is sort of the attitude. I would say you could win a game with either strategy, but some teams you do better with one strategy versus the other.
And it sounds like even if you are staying back and being a bit cagey, or you are running up the board, you've got at least a plan A, B, and C for threat staging on both counts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have a really cagey turning point 1. You can even have a really cagey turning point 2, and then just, flood the field 3 and 4. It's a little tough to unring the bell if you have all of your guys out of cover, just standing on the midline, turning point 1. Tough to roll that one back. You're kind of committed at that point. But you can just throw a couple guys down, threaten maybe 1 to 3 lanes, and have everybody else, hunkered down, ready and waiting to counterpunch.
Now, on that, Korn's obviously looked at these guys and gone, I don't want these guys to die if they get shot at, right? Pivoting over to the faction rule and rules of Korn, runes of Korn, it basically says they can't take more than 8 wounds per shoot action. Exactly
right. Yeah. These are guys who absolutely love to charge a Melta that's on guard. It's their favorite thing to do. Their least favorite thing to do is get within like 8 inches or so of somebody who can double shoot. That's the real nightmare for them. So they can eat big single shots like it's breakfast. But the second you get something that can, a Space Marine double shooting a regular bolter is terrifying. Blades of Cain, striking Scorpion, just like running up and double shurikening you is terrifying. But you can just flat out run at like melt a gun with no issue whatsoever. You can gobble up a Dark Lance and not even worry about it.
Literally, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, it flattens the curve out a lot as to what is going to happen when you get shot. You know, if you're playing a Space Marine, who knows? Maybe they're going to roll great on their plasma and you're going to roll horribly on your defense dice, or maybe the opposite happens. These guys, I have a running joke where anytime somebody declares the shoot action, they'll start telling me like, all right, I've got ceaseless, here's my profile, and I just pull out a wound gauge and start setting myself from 10 health to 2 health. And I always just check in once they're done. It's like, okay, so I'm going to take 8 damage, even if they haven't rolled yet. It is an extremely consistent outcome as to what actually happens when you get shot.
So charging into a melter on guard in close quarters, okay.
Yeah, no problem. Frankly, if my opponent goes on guard while I'm within charge range, I just mentally tell myself they're dead. Like doesn't matter who they are. They could be a Space Marine captain. I think to myself, great, I can kill this guy now.
That's insane. And look, they've also got a saving grace, right? Because these guys, they wouldn't be called Goremongers without Gore tanks, right? Which is their next faction rule.
Yes, Gore tanks and sort of the corollary Sanguivitae. They have everybody starts with half a tank of blood. They can go up to a full tank or they can empty out to a half tank. But they can basically fill up their tanks in various ways, one of which Khorne wouldn't have it any other way is by killing things in close combat.
Blood for the blood god.
Exactly. You know, hey, the blood god is not going to get blood on its own. Those skulls aren't going to get into the throne on its own. Somebody's got to do the heavy lifting, and it'll be these guys.
Oh, mate. He loves them for it, right?
Sure does. You know, listen, it's a simple trade offer. You don't take more than 8 damage in shooting, and you just have to charge your enemies. I think we can all get behind that.
That's insane. So the first Sanguivitae element is Rejuvenate.
Yes. You can use those Gore tanks to do Sanguivitae abilities. Basically, all of these are done on your own activation or counteract. There's Rejuvenate, which is healing for D3 plus 1. Mania, which gives you an extra APL. Fury lets you do a second free fight action. Or I should say 2 fight actions, 1 is free. Rake, which lets you do D3 damage at the end of a charge. Surge, which increases your movement from 7 inches to 8 inches. And Rage, which gives you an extra attack dice. So all of these have really solid use cases. A lot of them are just built around giving you that tiny little extra edge that you need, either that extra oomph to make that charge or that extra APL to cap that point at the end of your activation, or just a little bit of healing to get yourself out of injury so you hit on 3s again, or above 8 wounds so that you can't get shot and killed in one activation. These are not super bombastic, but they do sort of tilt the odds a little bit more in your favor.
Oh, they certainly do. They're just little gifts, gifts that you run to just kind of turn the tide, maybe within each activation for sure. Like that Rake, and I'm currently running stealth suits. Like the fact that still gets to do it, even if I retro thrust out of melee combat, I think is still great.
Yeah, absolutely. You can kind of bluff out those really like fall back moves. You can get a Rake in, and then after they've finished falling back, you might still have a valid shot on them. So they've taken D3 damage, and then you just, set the pistols to full auto and just lay into them. Or any of the other myriad shooting options available for the team. The really funny one is if you do that with the Impaler, they fall back, and then you just shoot them and pull them back into melee range. Which is, that's for my money. If you're looking for a funny play to make in your first game, that's my vote. I would say go for that. It might not work out, but it would be hilarious if it happened to me, even as a stealth suit player.
That is so good. That is genuinely so good. So they've got a lot of options they can take there with their Gore tanks for sure, which I think makes the team really dynamic in what they're able to do. Definitely threat staging, threat pushing team, but at the same time they've got a bunch of things they can do to switch it a little bit so they get the upper hand for sure. And the fact that, again, shooting, oh my goodness, they only take 8. I was playing against a friend of mine, Felix, and I was playing Vespids into these guys, and all I was trying to do was blast them off the board, obviously, because of Vespid, but they were just sitting on 2 wounds. I mean, dropping down the capability of neutron fallout markers definitely helped. But to see them just only take 8 wounds was eye-watering.
Yeah. Having been on the receiving end of the Goremongers pile in as well, when you roll really hot, you're playing Vespids and you get all crits, and just seeing that your opponent only took 8 wounds is dispiriting, to say the least.
Definitely.
I think that this team gets a lot of flack for that rule, much in the same way that Felgor catch that with Frenzy. But a 2-wound Goremonger is actually a lot less threatening. Maybe, this is just my own bias, but when I've got a Goremonger at 2 wounds, he's basically a death's door anyways. So if you're on the receiving end of it, I know it doesn't feel great when your Melta only does 8 damage. I get it. But a 2-wound Goremonger is kind of like a frenzied Felgor. He'll get maybe one good thing left before he exits stage left.
True story. But hey, it's not about him. It's about his 7 other buddies, right, that are behind him that might do something that's worthwhile, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If you can stall out activations, it might not be the 2 health guy you got to worry about. It's got to be the guy with the 10-inch charge who's activating right after him.
Literally. And especially if you're out of activations after shooting him, right? Wow. Sure. And tell me, strategic ploys, what should people be considering and what do you take all the time?
Yeah. I think there are a couple bread and butter ones. Gory Tenacity is the one that I think I take most often. It's basically the way that Goremongers remain good in melee. Melee is extremely lethal in Kill Team, and just because it sort of happens one at a time, typically a Goremonger will charge into somebody, hit them, get hit back, and then maybe threaten a lethal hit afterwards. Which, if that's the cadence of your combat, Gory Tenacity is going to make it so that you take basically 2 damage from that combat instead of 4 to 6 damage, which is a really, really big deal. It tilts a lot of melee math in your favor. It forces your opponent into a more parry-focused stance instead of just try to kill the Goremonger before they kill you. And it is, I think, sort of the centerpiece of what makes this team feel so, I guess, tanky in a way in melee, is that you can't kill them in one activation and shooting, and if you try to fight them, then you're in for a world of hurt. So Gory Tenacity, I pop it basically every turning point after the second, especially if I know that my opponent is going to try to charge me. Gory Tenacity comes down very, very often. Enhanced Violence is probably the second runner-up. It is your melee reroll ploy. The more full your Gore tank is, the better your rerolls. It's good, but also you got to remember that you are paying a command point for it. So if you are going to pay a command point, you need to get at least 1 reroll or more out of it. And if you're not, then you're kind of wasting the command point. So if you look at the board and you think to yourself, yeah, there's going to be a lot of fighting, and I really need to get rerolls out of this, Enhanced Violence is the way to go. If it's turning point 2 and you're playing KG and you just think there's probably not going to be any combat here until maybe a last activation, move, dash, shoot, then it's okay to let this one go. Or if it's turning point 4 and you have 2 guys left, it's also okay to let that one go. It's probably better to keep the command points for either a really niche CP reroll or one of the other incredible ploys you have. There's also sort of the corollary augmented endurance, which is rerolling defense dice depending on how full your gore tank is. This one I really want to like. I really want to take it into shooting matchups and feel good about it, but a 5-up save is just really awful. And if you whiff all of your dice, saving 1 dice is probably not going to make you take less than 8 damage regardless. So unless I am, flush with command points and I'm facing down a massive shooting threat, I rarely, if ever, take this one.
Yeah.
Final ploy is Hunt for Blood, which basically allows you to do a charge in the strat phase. This ploy has caught so many people off guard, and it really turns your threat range from massive to oppressive, because you can last activation, take, say, like your Blood Herald, boost him to 3 APL, have him move, dash, shoot with a 12-inch threat range. And then if you win initiative, you can Hunt for Blood, charge in, fight, shoot, and charge into somebody else, and start tying things up. And it can really be what gets you into really messy situations in a good way. So it's a primo way to make people pay for their final activation, move, dash, shoot into you, or if there's some sort of sneaky nemesis claw or something and try to fall back away from you, you can Hunt for Blood right back into them. So it's a very nice tech piece that your opponent might forget you have, but even if they remember it, they will try to play around it, which is a really good way to both save command points while still having solid board presence from a ploy.
That's insane. I mean, my brain is still stuck on enhanced violence, right? Because if at the start of Turning Point 2, you've got your Blood Herald, who can essentially give himself a full gore tank, right? If he hasn't spent anything in Turning Point 1. And then you've got your Blood Taker, who can essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, give your Skull Claimer an extra or fill his gore tank at the end of Turning Point 1 after he's activated. And then maybe at the start of Turning Point 2, your Blood Taker can also maybe even give an aspirant, right, a full gore tank. If you activate that, and with 2 APL they can get into charge range, they've basically got relentless on anything that comes up against them, right?
Pretty much. I'd say you're mostly right on that. Blood Herald, unfortunately, can't put himself to a full tank. He can only put himself to a half tank.
Right,
yeah. Okay. We'll have very slight limitations on the Blood Herald, but beyond that, I think you're right on the money. And there's also a piece of equipment that we can get to a little later on that gives you a gore tank every turn. So if you can very, very easily start Turning Point 2 with 3 Goremongers at a full tank, which means those 3 all have Relentless from Enhanced Violence, and just about everybody else has Balanced, which with 4 attacks is still good. If 4 attacks hitting on 3, most of the time you're going to get, between 2 and 3 hits, and if it's the 3-hit version, Balance is just as good as Relentless.
Wow, that is insane. That is insane, man. Those strategic ploys are weaponized, to say the least. But, mate, firefight, where it counts in the moment, what are you taking?
Yeah, the firefight ploys are all, I would say, generically pretty weak, except for that one time you really need them, and then they win you the game. You probably won't need to use them, but when you do, they're great. There's my favorite one that I use a lot is Destructive Demise, which is the obligatory blow up on death ploy that I love seeing on a melee team. What's nice about it is that it deals more damage depending on how full your gore tank is. So if you've got an aspirant or a blood taker or somebody who is all loaded up for bear, you can have them charge in, rake to deal D3 damage, fight, do maybe like 3 or 6 damage, and then blow up at the end of it for D3 plus 1, maybe plus 2 damage on top of that, which, depending on how the dice go for you or what you're fighting, you might be able to take a Space Marine with you. You might be able to take a Ravener with you. And one of your 8 models for one of their 5 models is a pretty good trade.
That's insane. That is literally insane. I mean, worst case scenario, you can run it into a 7 wound model if you're full and kill it if you've got rake. Yeah, that's insane.
It also helps you sort of deter people who might charge you. If, a Space Marine Assault Intercessor charges a Skull Claimer who's at full tank, and he takes, a hit and a crit from the Skull Claimer before he dies. Skull Claimer has dealt 11 damage to him and then can blow up for D3 plus 2, guaranteeing the kill against the Assault Intercessor. I mean, that's a good use of a command point, if you ask me.
And you can't just scratch that, right? That's just auto.
Yep, that's just damage. Just straight damage. Sorry, your Iron Halo can't handle this Gore tank blowing up.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because I can just imagine some of the look on people's faces who are playing, Angels or someone else and just going, wow, that is filthy, because it literally is. Take down half its wounds in one hit without even doing a single attack, which you wouldn't do, right? You'd prep yourself properly for it, but the fact that can happen is pretty scary.
Yeah. I mean, it's great because you have both options. If they play really cagey, you can kind of pepper them a bit and then go in for the kill. If they just, run all the Marines at you at the same time, you can just square up and 1v1 them. So you've got multiple tools in the toolkit, depending on what you need.
Hey, no, it sounds, I'm literally working out how to use this now. That's amazing. And unbridled aggression, I can see how that's super situational, and probably looking at the rest of them, that'd probably be the least, right?
This one used to allow you to, it would basically give you severe, which would let you turn a normal into a crit if you didn't roll one, especially given that most of these operatives have rending. It used to be the case that you could use this to proc rending if you didn't roll it, which was great. That's since been balanced out. So now what I use it for is mostly trying to figure out a way to get a crit to get around my opponent's parry potential. Like if a 5 elf fight first elf could like parry out a normal but doesn't have any crits, I could use this to get a crit and try to kill them. It's also a good way to have your Blood Taker spike that 5 damage crit before it dies if you really want to do that. Beyond that, it's rare that I get a ton of usefulness out of it. But every once in a while, it gives you the 1 damage that you need to kill an important model or hit an important breakpoint.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we just need to give a special and a thanks, shout out to all the Legionary players who kind of broke that rule for us and balance it. Because, this is now weaker thanks to you. I am a Legionary player. This is why I'm calling it out.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, we've been catching a lot of strays here, but, Khorne perseveres.
Khorne perseveres, mate. Indeed he does. And look, Gorethirst, I can see Gorethirst definitely being situational, but definitely being something of value in the right spot, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think this is another one that people point to when they are bemoaning Goremongers with their horde that they are fighting. So, if you are playing a horde team and you want to, leverage your activation advantage and move dash shoot somebody within 2, as my opponent is describing that they're going to do that, I normally interrupt them and say, oh, by the way, I have a ploy I can do for a CP that lets me swap to engage so I can charge or shoot somebody. Charge, fight, or shoot somebody, I should say. And they normally slowly pull their model back and do something else, which, a lot like Hunt for Blood, is one of those ploys where it's almost most useful if you never spend command points on it and your opponent plays around it. It's a 0 CP sort of spacing
Mm,
buffer for guys.
no, for real. I can definitely see how that would be something that you might want to do, just in case, somebody leaves himself out in the open, you're in conceal, and then boom, you might want to shoot them potentially.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And lacerate flesh.
Yes. Lacerate flesh. If you start an activation with an empty gore tank, you just slice yourself straight down the middle, drink up some of that blood, and you fill up a gore tank up to half. Um, this is a classic, not generically that useful, but in a pinch when you really need that third APL or you really need that extra inch of movement, this is what you do. At the end of the turn, if you don't have anything left in the gore tank, then you take D3 damage. If you do have anything in the gore tank, then you lose half a tank.
Mm,
Um, so this is sort of the Hail Mary ploy. If you really need that extra little oomph of a Sanguivitae, or maybe a reroll from Enhanced Violence or what have you, this is what can get you there, even though there's a steep cost in terms of command points and maybe your own health.
no, that's definitely the Hail Mary one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. And mate, tell me, like faction equipment, because obviously big thing versus universal. I don't see these guys taking barricades on the regular. So are you, when you're playing them, do you take all of your faction equipment or do you mix it up with like smoke grenades and so forth? What are you taking?
I'm surprised to hear that about light barricades. I think I take light barricades maybe 95% of my games.
Yeah, wow.
Um, uh, but the faction equipment is also incredible. Um, I take maybe two, maybe three pieces of faction equipment every game. It's very, very good. The first of which is non-negotiable, compulsory. You never don't take it. It's Bloody Cadaver. That's the piece
Mm,
of equipment that gives you a gore tank charge during the ready operative step every turn. It's an essential part of the battery. You can't not take it. Um, what's nice about it is you can also pick it up and carry it around with you.
wow.
Some guys really like to have their blood taker pick up the bloody cadaver and just dole out whatever gore they get from it every turn. I like to have my leader boost to 3 APL and pick it up, or have my skull claimer pick it up and then run up the field with it. And that kind of gets the cadaver into a more advantageous spot and also allows me to, if my opponent decides to focus fire either of those two power pieces, have the cadaver drop in a place where I can probably still utilize it pretty well. But cadaver is incredible. You never don't take it. It's the best thing that you could take. Uh, Close runner up uh, in my perspective is the wrist chains, which let
Right.
you turn into Kratos from God of War and turn your melee weapon into a shooting attack once per turn. Extremely good. Um, you can have that happen with uh, effectively everybody except for the blood taker or the inciter. So you can, have that giant great chain axe that does 5-6 damage on the skull claimer and hurl that at a ravener with a 5-up save. I'd say the vast majority of command point rerolls I do are with wrist chain shots.
Wow.
Because just one extra hit or one, crit proc of rending can be the difference between a Space Marine taking 4 damage and taking 14 damage. It's
Wow.
extremely good, and is frankly one of the very few opportunities this team has to get asymmetrical damage in. Normally, you're trading and you're getting hit back a little bit. Wrist chains is your way to just knock something 100 to 0 or 100 to 50% in one activation, and it's indispensable.
I've just got images of Kratos now.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Lean
sounds so
into
good.
that.
Lean into
We
that.
I think Korn would love Kratos. I think they'd be buds.
For sure. I think there's a huge opportunity for kit bashing there as well, right?
Ooh, you're giving me ideas. You're giving me ideas.
So Gory Totem and Chaos Sigil, are they less used in your kit bag?
Uh, Chaos Sigil, yes. I can't think of a single time that I have or would use Chaos Sigil.
Yeah.
Turning off piercing for a 5-up save where you already are capped on how much damage you have, just it's not worth bringing, in my opinion. There's too many other good things to take. I would probably take a comms device before I took a Chaos Sigil.
Yeah, fair call.
Gory Totem is really good for two different reasons. The first of which is having an area that you turn off rerolls is incredible. You can plop that down near the midline. You can plop that down near a side that you want to flank on. And it makes those Raveners a lot less likely to have quasi-relentless, your ever so predictable Angels of Death rerolls turn off. And it's good fun. It's good to have. The other thing is, and this sort of dovetails with the Light Barricade call out, is that it can space out some of your opponent's placements as well. A big problem for Goremongers, at least in my mind, are mines, like universal equipment mines. And mines can't be placed close to Gory Totems because they are both considered markers. So you can place a Gory Totem down, and typically a mine has to go far enough away from doors and objective markers and now a Gory Totem marker that you can basically make an entire area mine free for you, which is a secondary benefit as well.
That's so good.
The reason why I say that's similar to Light Barricades is because I actually use Light Barricades as more of a way of making sure that there is not blocking terrain equipment in an area.
Yeah.
Things like razor wire, opponents' Light Barricades, things of that nature, can't be placed within 2 inches of other terrain equipment. So I just oftentimes will put a Light Barricade down, basically perpendicular to, a Tomb World hallway or some choke point to make sure that my 32-inch bases can still scoot through, and they now have to set up their razor wire further back or in a less advantageous position. So Light Barricades can kind of block a lot of your opponent's ability to slow you down. Yeah. And, worst case scenario, you actually use it for cover, weird to think about using cover. Try not to do it if I can help it. But if you absolutely have to, then I guess they also work as cover and I guess if you're going to put it on the midline, I guess they can be good staging points. But most of the time they're there just to be, make sure that the door doesn't lock behind you as you run down the midline.
Keep your pathway clear. That's why I said I hardly ever see people take Light Barricades. But now when you're explaining it, you're using it to counter blockage for yourself, which I think is phenomenal. That's a great nugget there, mate.
I like using it that way a lot. I'll also add in that there are a couple maps where, specifically for open maps, where ladders do much the same thing. Except ladders are, I forget the word. I think it's insignificant.
Yeah, correct.
So you can turn what would be really tight corridors into similarly set up things where your opponent can't place something to block you, but you can also just phase through it. There's a couple specific Vulgus maps I know where that is the case. But I'm drawing a blank on them right now. But ladders are also good for that purpose.
Yeah, wow, that's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. That actually makes sense. When you said I take barricades 90% of the time, in my head I'm going, what? Now I understand. Now I see it.
Yeah, at very worst, you put it at the outside edge of an objective marker and make it so your opponent has to go over it to get to your home objective.
Yeah.
But that's boring. That's for the Tzeentch and Urkel enjoyers out there. Khorne, we need to figure out the most advanced way to run at our opponent with our hands above our heads.
Mate.
And I guess Light Barricades do both.
Yeah. If it's not bloodlust, what is it really, right?
Exactly. See, now you're understanding the Khornate way.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Khorne? That's gold, mate. Oh, Matt, so many nuggets in this session. I'm blown away. Now that we've essentially gone through the framework of the team, and thank you so much for sharing your insight. I'm sure people are sitting there just their heads are abuzz with essentially what they can do based on what you shared. Have you got any spicy plays that you wouldn't mind sharing with some future gore enjoyers out there?
Spicy plays. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do. The biggest thing I would try to leverage as a Goremonger player is figuring out different ways that you can, charging is obvious. And a lot of times your opponent is going to know that you've got a 9-inch charge that you can do. And they're going to be, 10.1 inches away from you, generally speaking. And when those cowards don't want to fight in melee, you adapt and you move dash shoot them. Your Blood Herald, for example, can effectively always be at 3 APL because he can boost his APL for a Gore tank. The Gore tank empties out and then refills back up to half. So you can have him move 7 inches, dash another 3 inches, and then shoot 2 inches and cover break somebody.
Wow.
You can do that with literally anybody else as well with wrist chains. You could do that with the Inciter effectively for free. All these things give you a pretty preposterous threat range.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my spiciest thing is just trying to convince your opponent that you can actually, if you really need to, with your leader, move 8 inches because you boosted his movement, give him a third APL and dash, and then shoot. And then maybe he counteract shoots again, or maybe he counteract charges, or maybe he hunt for blood charges the next turning point, and then just starts mauling people. So figuring out ways to, it's gross to say it out loud, shoot with this melee team is really important. The other thing is figuring out different ways to leverage just how much dang chip this team has. Basically, if you ever need to, you can bookend your melee with 2d3 damage plus maybe 1 or 2, depending on how Destructive Demise goes. Which, if you got 2d3 damage, that averages out to be about 4 damage. Maybe you've got a Gore tank, so that's 5 damage. You can start thinking to yourself, what do all these Emperor's Finest Space Marines downfield, what would they look like if they had 5 less health? Could I kill them in 2 shots? All right, we're doing this then. Because it means that you can rake on the charge, hit them twice and then die and then blow up. And the world looks a lot more appetizing when things have already lost 5 health before you charge them.
So true. And are you, just out of curiosity, do you take Seek and Destroy 90% of the time, or are you mixing it up with Recon as well, based on the 2 archetypes they can take?
If I am just like ready to turn my brain off and let the Butcher's Nails just do the rest of the thinking for me, it's Seek and Destroy. You take route, everybody touches the midline, and half the board is gone. There's just your opponent's half of the board. That's the only thing that exists. You definitely can play that way. The more competitive of a match that I'm having, though, the more that I am sad to say I have to resort to Recon as an archetype. Flank is just extremely good, especially for a team that can have the staying power as Goremongers do. But weirdly enough, I've found the most success with Retrieval as my tack op of choice. Because Retrieval is completely turning point agnostic. If you want to score 0 on it, turning point 2, you can do so and still max it by the end of the game. So if your opponent, your opponent is, I feel like I'm ragging on Angels of Death, but they deserve it. If they're running Security and Seek and Destroy, they don't have any attack ops that, except for Dominate, that score well past turning point 2, meaning they have to basically invest on turning point 2 to get points for it. So if they're setting up for route or setting up for banner, you can kind of hang back a little bit and let them come to you and then eat their lunch. And then once they're all dead, which they will be at the end of Turning Point 3, Turning Point 4, you can go around and get your 6 points on retrieval. Alternatively, you can just bum rush your opponent, and if they are rightly as afraid of corn as they should be, and stay back, you can have one guy go and touch their opponent's home objective, hopefully killing somebody before he does, and then retrieve the point. Somebody touches mid objective and retrieves it, and somebody touches home objective and retrieves it. And you've scored 3 points on tack op and Turning Point 2. And if you are holding onto those two retrievals at the end, you've got a total of 5 points on it, which is 3 on primary if you take that for your primary.
Wow.
So it's an extremely consistent way to score all of your tac ops while your opponent is like fumbling, trying to find a way to like steal intelligence or plant devices on you. You can kind of just chill and let them meet their maker on their own terms.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And honestly, like, I'm literally sold on playing the team now. I'll be assembling a set this weekend for sure. I've been wanting to for a while. I did go down to, I didn't go down. A friend of mine got me the Mini of the Month from GW when it was an extra aspirant from the Warhammer store. Thanks, Khalil. And I'll be definitely assembling these guys now. But for a team that's 2 APL, pseudo 3, 7-inch move, which literally means a 9-inch charge, potentially 10-inch, saving on 5+, which doesn't really matter, and then 10 wounds for your normal guys, and then 11 for your Blood Herald. This is an insane team. And don't feel shame taking flank. You're at least putting your guys out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're not some, Canoptech circle that doesn't lead deployment on Tomb World. We get in the mix. We do what we need to do.
You play the game. That is gold.
Yes.
That is absolutely gold. Matt, coming up to the top of the hour, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for making yourself available and sharing these insights. Are there any shout outs to your local community, friends, anyone you'd like to do before we wrap up?
Oh, I'd love to. And it's been such a pleasure to chat with you as well. I suppose I'd be remiss not to shout out my local group. There's a lot of incredible people in the New York, New Jersey area. We've got a little crew called Kill Team New York, or KTNY, that are all good guys. Highly recommend if you want to reach out and play with any of them. They're awesome. And beyond that, big shout out to the DC folks as well. The DC folks are great. Beyond that, I think just get back out there and get back to killing. We need more blood. We need more skulls. Come on, guys.
And when do you guys get together and where? So just in case anybody wanted to come check you guys out, they could, know where to come.
Absolutely. If you are local to the tri-state region and the East Coast, we've got weekly wargaming nights, Mondays at Hex & Co. in Manhattan, and Thursdays at the Brooklyn Strategist in Brooklyn. And we've got monthly tournaments at both of those locations as well. The Strat does theirs first Saturday of the month, and Hex does theirs in the middle of the month. If anybody is curious about that, you can probably DM me on Discord. I'm a chatty guy over there, and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction.
Awesome, Matt. Awesome. Definitely go check that out, guys. Matt, thanks again. It's been phenomenal. I'm sure lots of Goremonger boxes will be sold this weekend. And really appreciate your insight. For everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with another episode next week, and we hope to catch you all soon. Thanks again, Matt.
Thank you.